Hello, everyone. Brother Al McClain with this week's stewardship video. And this I'm recording late Saturday because I just returned from Houston from a great workshop, which was hosted by one of my favorite traders, Tom Salsdorf. And some of you may have heard me mention him before. He's a legend when it comes to options trading, and it was a phenomenal workshop. And I went down to Houston on Friday night just in time to watch my Alabama Crimson Tide lose in the Sweet 16 to San Diego State. But as my lovely wife, Janine McClaney, says, people notice when she wants to change the subject, she goes to something different. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to something different, which is the stewardship video for this week, which is called Pay Your Debts as Agreed. Before we go too far, let's read the disclaimer. No advice should be seen as a recommendation, as I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this is for educational purposes only. So this particular video was inspired by a tremendous workshop I went to that was hosted by the Empower series. And I'm going to talk about later how you can plug into this YouTube video and also get involved in participating in like upcoming workshops. Well, the Empower series brought in a person to talk about credit. It was called Understanding Your Credit was the workshop. And it was on March, I believe, 18th. And the next one's workshop is on April 15th related to financial services. So what inspired me was that workshop and the fact that the Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates, which means if you have credit cards, you have loans outstanding, you're going to be watching any type of variable interest rates, such as credit cards, go up. If you currently have a fixed rate mortgage, then it's not going to be going up. But if you're borrowing to get a house, to buy a home, you're going to be paying a higher interest rate. Or if you have any type of loan right now, those interest rates will be going up. So even though the interest rates are going up, if you made a vow, we have an obligation to pay that. The word even talks about if you have a vow or a debt, you should pay it. Romans 13, verses 7 and 8 in the CEB, Common English Bible says, so pay everyone what you owe them. Pay the taxes you owe, pay the duties you are charged, give respect to those you should, respect and honor those you should honor. Then here's the best way to avoid interest. Don't be in debt to anyone except for the obligation to love each other. Whoever loves another person has fulfilled the law. So we know the best way to stay out of debt is not to get into debt, right? So Psalms 37, 18, 21 says again about we must pay. And as believers, we should be a model to others when it comes to handling our finances. It says, day by day, the Lord observes the good deeds done by godly men and gives them eternal rewards. He cares for them when times are hard. Even in famine, they will have enough. But evil men shall perish. These enemies of God will wither like grass and disappear like smoke. Now, look who the Lord refers to as evil. Evil men borrow and cannot pay it back. But the good man returns what he owes with some extra besides. So the extra besides could be referred to interest. So if we make the vow, in other words, if we take out the loan, if we have the credit card debt, we should be paying it back. Now, if you're a Dave Ramsey student, which I am, I follow Dave Ramsey, he believes in no debt at all. Now, the late Larry Burkett, late Larry Burkett said, if you have a debt or credit card, use it responsibly. In other words, he would say, if you make a credit card debt, pay it off each month. And if at some point you can't pay it off each month, then that means you should probably cut that credit card up. Dave Ramsey, as I said, he says no credit cards, but most people have credit cards. So if you have them, that means you should pay on them and pay responsibly. Well, at this workshop that I talked about, it was hosted by the Empower series, but it was facilitated, and the instructor came from Money Management International. And here's their website, moneymanagement.org. It's a nonprofit that counsels people when it comes to getting out of debt, helps you create a budget. Here's their phone number as well. So as I said, it was hosted by the Empire series. So I encourage you to go out to YouTube, and I'll have a slide at the end that shows more. The Empire series, you can just do a search on the YouTube. This particular class, as I said, was Mastering Your Credit. And here's the specific YouTube link that you can go right to this particular workshop. And you'll see my bald head sitting there where I was in the class in person. As I said, it was an awesome class. I was in person. You can go pause the video, go out to this, but I'm gonna also show you later how to just go out to Empower and subscribe to them, what I suggest. So what these are slides. So these are slides. I'm giving them credit. I'm not plagiarizing, but Money Management International had these 3 or 4 slides that I'm going to use. I'm going to borrow for this video. The first one talked about FICO, and FICO means Fair Isaac Corporation. They came up with a scoring system for credit. And most of us know what the FICO, but I never knew what it stood for, Fair Isaac Corporation. But we know FICO is how good your credit. They got some bad credit, or I got some good credit, right? But this is what makes up the components of the FICO, right? And you can see the percentages here. And if you can't read those numbers, you can pause it and look at it. But this is a revelation that I learned in this workshop. 65% of your credit score is related to following a good budget or / spending plan. Well, let me break this down to you. And this is what I learned in this workshop. Okay, so 35% of the score, which is this green, is based on payment history. And what are the people in the workshop saying? Paying on time all the time, right? Paying your when it's due on time all the time. So that's 35%. 30% is amount owed to all creditors. So look, you add those up, 65%. So let me break it down how it's related to a budget. Look at this. So if you have it in your budget and you're making a good budget every month, you're following it, you're going to put the payment included in your budget, right? Amount owed to all creditors also. If you're doing a good budget that makes sure you account for all the things needed in life, then you shouldn't have to go to credit. But if you don't have a good working budget, that means you're going to overspend and need to put the rest on credit card. It also means that we know today, unfortunately, because of inflation and the interest rates increasing, people are starting to put their daily expenses on credit cards. So again, a good budget. And if you could recognize, I talked about it a couple of videos ago where our electric bill went up. But I was able, because I had margin in my spending plan, to move some things around and account for that increase in the electric bill. And also our food, as food prices were going up, I was able to I had a good budget, be able to create margin, using that budgeted control versus, us being undisciplined. So again, 65% related to following a good budget plan. That was just a phenomenal paradigm shift for me. So let's take a look at a tool that was introduced also in this class. So this QR code actually works. So you can pause this video, take a picture of it, and it will pull up a credit assessment calculator. And I'm going to show you how not all credit is the same, and different credit has different consequences for missing payments. So when you put in and you can just follow, it's easy to follow this assessment tool. You'll put in how many late payments you've had, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And then when you do it, it'll do a calculation. And this is consumer loan payments. That's like credit cards, like cars, those type of loans. And then it'll say missing one, not over 30 days missed, late. You still have good credit. Now look at this. This opens up. You could also do mortgage and rent payments. Having one late payment for a mortgage kicks you down to fair credit. Notice how that changes. So I encourage you, go out, take a picture of this, and you can get kind of an assessment of what your credit is. Now here it is in real dollars. Here's Marco and Sheila. So Marco has a 590 score. Sheila has a 760 score, right? And you can see from 590 is poor credit, 760 is good credit. And you can see here's the range of the credit score. So Marco was 590. So he is down here, 501 to 600. To the average new car APR for someone with his credit score is 11.11%. Versus Sheila, she has good credit. She's in the 760 range, right? So that's 661 to 780. So she's going to be paying 4.45% for a used car, 3.99% for a new car. See the difference here? Look at, I mean, just the differences in having poor credit versus good credit, right? But let's look at it in dollars. So here's the impact of those interest rates. So both of them borrow $42,000 for a car, which, by the way, is the average car price these days. New car, $42,000. 72 months are the term. So Marco, with his poor credit, he pays 11.11% interest. We talked about that. Sheila pays 3.99%. So what is that in dollars? He pays $802 a month. So a total interest of $15,730. Total paid $57,730. Now, Sheila with good credit, her monthly payment is $656. Only $5,297 interest paid. That's $10,000 difference, and $10,000 difference in paid. So there's a scripture that talks about this, right? And we talked about it in Luke 14. Is there anyone here who planning to build a new house doesn't first sit down and figure the cost so you'll know if you can complete it? If you only get the foundation laid and then run out of money, you're going to look pretty foolish. Everyone passing by will poke fun at you. He started something he couldn't finish. That's from the Message Bible. So we need to count the cost. And we see the cost of not paying our bills on time, every time, or having too much credit out there. And both can be influenced, in some cases alleviated, by having a good spending plan, a good budget. I like spending plan versus budget. So let's go ahead, change. And some of you are like, yes, please, let's get off of that, right? Let's go on. Let's see what's going on in the market. But again, I'll show you how to get plugged into that Empower series, encourage you to do it. So we're coming toward the end, because the next video I'll make will be in April. So we've closed out first quarter already. So the next video will be on April 1st. We'll actually be into the second quarter. So we'll start going back into another season of earnings, because January, February, March, first quarter, right? And it'd be interesting to see how these companies did in the first quarter, because we know it's been all over the place when it came to going on in the market. We've been looking at, Bank of Silicon Valley. We watched Republic Bank. The latest thing was Credit Suisse overseas, in which it shook the market and the economy. So reporting, we got Carnival. That should be good to see, are people returning to selling on ships, getting out. Micron, that gives us a look into technology. Technology was doing really well. End of the week it sold off, then it started coming up like on Friday. Restoration Hardware, I think that's RH. What else do I recognize here? Not a lot of other things here. So probably not a lot of movement in this particular earnings season. Paychecks, that should be interesting, because they are affected by the number of companies starting to lay off. So here is what we saw last week. So QQQ, it sold off, like I think that was so Thursday, and then it closed out strong. But look at this. After all of this movement, shenanigans up and down, basically goes all the way back to February unchanged. It came right back to the same levels. And I think that was like February 6th. And here it is, March 24th, unchanged. Just a lot of volatility, right? And these are lines drawn before. These have been here a while. So you can see this is looking like resistance. Will it bounce and go back down, or will it, if it powers through, it could be back to an uptrend. Let's look at SPY. Kind of the same thing. Look at this. Which this is showing, this is a pretty strong area of resistance, because how many times has it gone through, come back down to it, sat there, which that means it becomes support, but now it's bouncing off of it a lot. So that's a strong area. If it gets through that, then it's got another area to get through. That's SPY, S&P 500. So once again, all these shenanigans, and we come all the way back to around, this is almost last year. All of this unchanged from like last year. Okay. So as I said, I want to close out. And who is this person here? This is Clifton Ellis Johnson. He is the founder and executive director of the Empire Series. And I admire Clifton. I've known him for several years through this, and I consider him one of my mentors. And he has dedicated his life to this, and the mission is inspiring people to thrive in every area of life. It's hard to be around Clifton and not get inspired. So I encourage you to go out. Now, he's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so those of you here, you can take advantage. And every third Saturday is usually when it's in person. They just started back up in person, took a break for COVID. That's why I was so geeked about going over there on the 18th of March. 15th is the next time. I'm unfortunately not going to be there because at St. John Baptist Church, we will start advertising a budget seminar and workshop we're having on April 15th. So unfortunately, I won't be at the Empire Series, but please, if you're in the area, look out for St. John Baptist Church. We're going to have a budget workshop about 4 hours, so you can come. But as I was saying, Empire Series, you can go out, you can just do a search under Empire Series, it'll come up. And there's, I mean, hundreds of videos out there. In fact, 206 videos out there. Click on the introduction from Clifton. He'll tell you more about the Empire Series. He says, a mission, here's the vision, a world where everyone is thriving progressively, realizing a worthy ideal. Right. So encourage you to participate in that. It's a 501c nonprofit. So as always, I enjoy having this time with you. You can find me by just doing a search under my name, Al McClaney, on YouTube, or as I said before, you can just email dcraddock at sjbcfamily.com, and she can put you on the mailing list to where you get this video every week, which also includes all the different activities going on in St. John Baptist Church. You do not have to be a member to participate in those, because this is just kingdom work. This is doing work for Church Big C, Universal Church. So as always, have a good week. As my pastor says, keep a good spirit. Have a yabba dabba dabba do good time. I can't say it like him, Pastor Diddy White Davis. And as we say on the stewardship video, remember, Jesus is Lord. Therefore, the Lord is owner, but we are his faithful stewards following his direction and principles. I'll see you next week.